Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
Hi, I'm Alex.
I'm Will.
We are the Blood Brothers.
No relation.
And today, we are talking about my all-time favorite horror movie franchise. The franchise, the character that got me into horror to begin with. Michael Myers, Halloween. I'm gushing. I have been waiting for this day.
Because Halloween is your favorite horror movie, right?
Hands down, yes. Nothing, only The Thing remake comes close, quite frankly. But
and by remake, we mean the 82 version,
yes,
not the 2013 prequel, 2011 prequel
reboot, whatever. I do mean the 1982 Kurt Russell,
the Carpenter one.
Yes,
yeah, John Carpenter.
Naturally, it would be John Carpenter.
Exactly.
Allergies suck, by the way.
Yes, they do.
I just, this is what got it started for me.
Yeah.
And sure, the first one I saw was Halloween 6, and I'll get into it on my rankings when I get there. But ever since Halloween 6, and going back to the beginning where it all started in Halloween 1, there's just so much mythology behind this character that other horror icons like Freddy and Jason just don't have.
Yeah.
And I think where those franchises go wrong is, yes, your slasher villain is the star, but there isn't a good supporting group to combat them besides a generic final girl.
Well, a couple of the Nightmare movies had.
True, because Heather Langenkamp comes back as Nancy a couple times.
Yeah,
but
whenever she, the three where she was a part of it, she was cool. And then, the Dream Warriors, I think, were probably the only example of like an all-around good group.
A good group, yes, but has like mainstay characters.
As far as like recurring characters,
Yes, and Dream Warriors had the chance to do that, and then they commit the killing all the survivors in the next installment, which this franchise does as well, but these characters are more beloved than any other character from Nightmare or Friday.
Than Joey or Kincaid or,
And for Friday, possibly Tommy Jarvis is, he's definitely not more beloved than Laurie or Dr. Loomis.
No.
But, that could be the only argument I could see.
Yeah.
Possibly Jenny from part 2.
Yeah.
But, again, she never comes back.
Right.
But you have all these characters who you root for and want to see defeat Michael while seeing Michael do his thing. And I think that's what kind of separates Halloween from those other two franchises. If Psycho is the original Godfather, like Vito Corleone, then Halloween is Michael Corleone.
Of slashers.
Yeah. He's the Michael Corleone of slashers.
He is the successor. He is,
He is the Godfather.
Yeah.
He's going to make us all offers we can't refuse. And definitely Friday the 13th is going to rip him off a bunch.
Don't ask me about my business, Laurie.
Which we'll cover Nightmare and Friday over the course of the next 2 weeks. But we'll get to that later. We're going to talk about Halloween.
Yes, we are.
So excited. So most of these films, they mean so much to me that just about all of them,
right,
have something that I enjoy from each movie.
Yeah, this is another one like with Texas Chainsaw where your bottom ranked film you have some very strong feelings about.
Yes, and I would say even stronger because of how much I care about this franchise.
Exactly.
And there's now 12 of these movies, but we're only covering 11 because again, Halloween Kills hasn't been released yet. We'll like we said, we'll throw that into our rankings when we see it and can review it. But we're gonna get right into it. Number 11, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Yeah, I hate this movie.
You are very passionate about your dislike of this movie.
If it wasn't for my allergies, I'd probably be screaming a lot more. But I hate this movie. I hate what they do with Laurie.
Yeah.
I hate what they do with Dr. Loomis.
Oh, yeah.
Why they turn him into an asshole? He's so... And there are hints of that in Rob Zombie's Part 1.
Yeah.
But overall, he's still is trying to do the right thing.
You see an ego begin to build in the first one.
Yes, and it's fully on display here. And no disrespect to Malcolm McDowell, he did everything he could that Rob Zombie wanted him to do with the character.
He's an amazing actor, and kind of got he kind of got fucked in this movie just because they. And I feel like if they'd done a good job of like portraying him as like really trying to build up an emotional wall, and this was sort of the pinnacle of that. Like this was sort of the final, you know, manifestation of that. It could have worked, but
I don't think anything could have worked to save this movie. I hate Michael's look.
Yeah.
It may be his worst look in the franchise because half the mask is ripped off. And he's dressed up like a hobo. Yeah. And it's just...
He's like a homeless Phantom of the Opera.
A homeless Phantom of the Opera. That is a great way to put it.
Night time.
Redneck. Homeless redneck Phantom of the Opera.
Night time, sure.
You know, the whole thing is that you can't see his eyes.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be expressionless. You know exactly what's going on in his mind half the time in this movie.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I can't forgive is making Michael talk.
Really, that's your number one thing, like that you hate about it.
Yes, because it's Michael Myers. He does not speak.
Yeah.
And you have him just throw Loomis through a wall and just pull off the mask and die.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You haven't spoken in Lord knows how many years, and that's the one thing you're going to say.
Yeah. I feel like there's almost a way you could have had him say something.
No.
But...
No. Stop. Don't make an argument for it. No. Okay. He does not speak. End of story.
Oh, no, I agree. I'm just saying, like...
If they would have built up to it, it could make sense. In Halloween 2018, they're urging him to say something. So if for some reason he did speak, I could almost forgive it. But I can't forgive it here because there's no build up to it. It just happens for the sake of shock.
Yeah.
And they make Laurie crazy and evil. And I don't have a problem with seeing our main character go down the path of trauma to where she goes down the wrong path.
Yeah.
You know, usually we get I went through a very horrible experience, but I know I'm going to get through it type in these movies.
Yeah.
And to see the opposite of that is intriguing. Yeah. But...
she's just too obnoxious.
Too obnoxious. Just like she is in the first movie. Yeah. It's just her... She was... everything about this movie from...
She's not Laurie Strode. She's a Rob Zombie character.
And that's the thing. If it would just been a random, 2-movie slasher that Rob Zombie decided to do based on the style of Halloween, cool. But this is not a Halloween movie.
It's not.
To me. I can't even buy it on DVD to complete the actual collection because I hate this movie. Yeah. I'll give it this. There are 2 things that I find redeemable. Okay. The Octavia Spencer kill and the dream sequence. That's pretty badass. Yeah. Unfortunately, everything else is downhill. Oh, yeah. And Brad Dourif. Yeah. When he finds Annie.
That scene is heart-wrenching.
It really is. The emotional breakdown he has, a lot of people apparently ragged him for it. And
the moan he makes out of context is kind of funny. But in the context of the scene, I think it works.
I agree. And I thought it was greatly acted in a very crappy movie. Right. And everything they do with Michael is just wrong. Yeah. He's walking around without his mask during the day. And Rob Zombie even establishes in his first movie that Michael needs the mask.
He doesn't like being without it.
He doesn't like being without it. He can't not wear it. So why is he walking around?
It's his blue blanket. It's,
Why is he walking around with no mask? And, again, making him speak. And just... I hate this movie. Yeah. My number 10... is usually what people have at the bottom of their list. Yeah. Halloween Resurrection. Trick or treat, motherfucker. Why is Busta Rhymes karate chopping Michael Myers?
Because life is meaningless.
This film is meaningless. This may be the... I'm going to try to find something that I like in this movie, but I don't know if I can. I will say, at least they get the Myers house right. I'll give them that.
Jesus.
But killing Laurie off in the first 15 minutes, if you can make it make sense,
Yeah.
I can get on board with it.
Like, you can pull a Psycho and make it a good bait and switch, but...
Because I'm very curious if Laurie's going to die early on in Halloween Kills.
I don't think they would do that.
I don't think so either, because I believe she's going to be in the final installment.
Yeah. She's almost the Loomis of this trilogy.
I would agree with that. But, you know, as long as you can make it make sense, or give me a good reason why it's happening.
Yeah.
They killed her off in this one only for, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
No.
Basically, Michael kills Laurie. He's done killing. He's literally retiring. He hands his butcher knife to some John Wayne Gacy wannabe.
Yeah.
And walks out and goes home. Literally. He drives home, even locks his car, which is kind of humorous, and goes home. And then his home gets invaded by a bunch of wannabe reality stars. It's like...
Yep.
It's like if Don't Breathe was a worse movie.
Yeah, because Don't Breathe is awesome. I love Don't Breathe. But, yeah.
I have my issues with it, but it's a very enjoyable film. But, you know, we get Tyra Banks, who's basically herself.
She's basically just being a version of herself.
Busta Rhymes is basically a black Bruce Lee, or a black Bruce Lee wannabe.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He watches karate movies. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. I love a good kung fu movie.
It's so over the top. It's so cheesy that there's nothing scary in this movie.
No.
The graphics and gore are terrible,
Yeah.
and these movies aren't really all that gory to begin with. But there's nothing here that really scares me in this movie.
That is one thing that I think everyone does have to give Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is it is genuinely creepy at times. Like, there are moments that are genuinely frightening.
I'll let you get to that when you cover it.
Yeah.
But and a lot of my rankings have to do with the way Michael looks. The resurrection look is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you putting literal makeup on the mask?
Yeah.
If you can't get a good enough mask to where you have to put makeup on it, get a different mask.
Yeah. Yeah, just...
And why can we see his eyes?
Yeah. The whole point is that he has, what is it, lifeless eyes, the devil's eyes? Well, how is it?
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to see
Jaws
his eyes.
is lifeless eyes. Yeah.
It's...
Yeah.
If you see his eyes, that makes him human.
Yeah.
You can see his expressions. You can know what's going on in his head. Or if you're going to make it to where we can see his eyes...
Yeah.
Make it have a reason, which some of the other movies do. Some not very well, some very well.
Yeah.
But, you know, the kills are lame.
Yeah.
Busta Rhymes sucks. And what was that moan when he electrocutes Michael Myers in the nuts?
Just the fact that there was like a nut shot in the movie in general.
And then Michael's, ooh. It's like if back in
he was
Halloween,
trying to speak whale.
It's like back in Halloween 1, and he has the sheet over his head, and he's trying to scare Linda. Ooh.
Boogity, 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 boogity.
Which would make sense for this crappy movie.
Honestly, if that was in this movie, I'd be like, you know what? That's funny.
And I'm fairly certain that there's supposed to be intentional humor, but there...
Some of it, I think, has to be. I think the karate stuff has to be intentional, but it just
falls flat.
It's just not funny.
No, it doesn't work. And they tried to... Because this movie came out in 2002, which is the big era of reality television at the time.
That was when it was really, like...
Real World and all that stuff. And they try to make Michael Myers mainstream.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with attempting it, but this does not work.
He almost already He almost already was. Like, I mean...
And the movie had potential because the whole reason why they're at the Myers house on Halloween is to discover what was going on in the childhood home that made him snap. It had potential, but turns out all the stuff they find are just props set up by the Busta Rhymes character.
That's also a twist that could have worked if they didn't suck.
And it sucks big time. By the way, Busta Rhymes' character's name is Freddy. I'm pretty sure that's intentional.
It had to be.
It had to be.
I mean, I will say I did find it amusing when...
Because we get Freddy versus Michael, just not the one we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that is one good thing in Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is that the dog is named Jason. I will say that. I was like, okay, I'll give you that. That was funny.
This movie sucks.
Yeah.
And... oh, man. It's bad. My number 9, and I originally had this at my number 10, but there's just more things I like about it than I do Resurrection.
Yeah.
My number 9, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Dr. Loomis. I'm sorry, I mean, The Revenge of Michael Myers. I say The Revenge of Dr. Loomis because Donald Pleasance, his portrayal of Loomis, while he didn't agree with the director because the director of this movie sucks, he did the best he could with what he had, and man, is it great.
He went all in.
Basically, Michael Myers is Moby Dick, and Loomis is Captain Ahab.
He has gone full Ahab at this point.
He's gone full Ahab, and he just loses his mind, and I love it. Because up to this point, he's so caring and tender, wants to do the right thing, and now he doesn't give a fuck. He just wants to kill Michael, wants any way he can stop Michael, he's going to do. It's basically, he's gone mad.
Yeah, he's
completed his circle of going insane.
Yeah. He has lived long enough to see himself become the villain. As you know, the way Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight put it, you know, it's like he's lived long enough to, now again, he's not the villain, but it's like he's lived long enough to stoop.
Because I'm fairly certain he yells at everybody in this movie at one point or another.
Yeah.
Or at least the ones who are around long enough.
Right.
Poor Rachel. She does not deserve to go out the way she did. I will always stand by that because Rachel Carruthers is such... She could have been the perfect predecessor to Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode.
Mm-hmm.
You know...
You mean successor.
Successor. I'm sorry, not predecessor.
Yeah.
Successor. You know, it's obvious she's a teenage girl who wants to go out and have fun. That's established in The Return.
Yeah.
But she cares about Jamie. She's her protector.
Yeah.
And there's a good bond between the two of them. Even the one scene that those two share in this movie. It's a good scene because you still get that connection. Why? I know why.
Well, yeah.
And I hate why. The director wanted the character killed off because he wanted his main female character to have dark hair.
For no explained reason.
I'm sure it's explained. I just don't remember off the top of my head. But it's dumb. The director was passionless about this movie. I remember seeing an interview, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not perfect. There's a chance I'm going to get my details mixed up. But he does an interview where he's explaining the movie, and it's, oh, the cat is chasing the mouse, but the mouse knows that the cat is chasing the mouse, but the cat is still trying to chase the mouse, trying to kill the mouse. That's about it. If that's all you're bringing to this historic franchise, fuck you. Get off the project. Because he intentionally sets things up to be in a sequel...
knowing he's not going to answer the questions.
Knowing that he's setting things up that he's not going to answer, and he isn't going to be doing the sequel. Yeah. Why make someone else's job harder because you don't want to try?
Right.
They introduced the whole Man in Black. They introduced the Thorn.
Yeah.
The Thorn tattoo. And originally the Man in Black was supposed to be Michael's twin brother.
Which is awful.
But Jamie has some weird psychic connection to Michael, which just pisses Loomis off, which is wonderful.
Because it would piss me off too.
I love Angry Loomis.
Angry Loomis is just...
You know where he is! But the biggest fault...
Die! Die!
Him beating the crap out of poor Don Shanks with that 2x4. He broke his nose. And this was originally supposed to be the death of Loomis as well.
Yeah.
When he's beating Michael to death with that 2x4, after using Jamie as bait, he falls on his stomach and stares into his eyes, and that was supposed to be the death of his character, which would have been a great send-off in a bad movie, but a good send-off for that character.
Right.
The biggest problem I have with this movie, it's not Tina.
Yeah.
Tina sucks.
Tina!
Ugh, I hate you. The biggest problem I have with this movie is the Myers house.
Yeah, that was unforgivable.
This is the 5th installment of a very beloved historic franchise.
Yeah, this was a landmark horror franchise.
And you trade out the original Myers house for some Victorian manor style, and the director basically just wanted a bigger house.
Yeah, put that in its own movie. It was a cool looking house. Put it in its own movie.
Or, just show shots of the original house and just...
With a bigger interior.
With a bigger interior.
It wouldn't have made sense, but it would have been better than just completely,
changing the style and making us think it's one thing.
Yeah,
It's bad. The Myers house is...
It's too iconic.
It's too iconic. It's like the Nightmare on Elm Street house. When you see the red door, you know what that means.
Right.
You can't just change it because you want to.
Yeah.
This director did not care about the franchise.
No.
And this is honestly the turning point for the Halloween franchise, because those first 4 installments, including Season of the Witch, if you want to exclude that, fine.
Yeah.
But the first 3 installments with Michael Myers are solid. And then part 5 craps the bed. Now, part of that is to blame on Mustafa Akkad.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace. For rushing it.
Yeah.
You can't rush it, but...
Yeah, he would...
Part 4 was so successful, how do you not rush it?
This was an assembly line movie.
Mm-hmm. And the director was so just passionless. That's how I can describe the director. Donald Pleasance clashed with him so many times. And at this point, Loomis is the heart and soul of the Halloween franchise.
Absolutely.
And if he's got a problem, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
And the Michael Myers look, it's not his worst because you can't see his eyes.
Right.
But that's the only thing preventing it from being his worst
Except for this one point where you see his eyes, where it all of a sudden turns into a parody of Halloween.
Why is he not burned up like it's been established? But whatever.
Yeah. Well, that and then the wacky music when you see the cops. Like, half of this feels like it's a parody. Like, when you have that sort of or whatever when you see the cops. And then there's that stupid gag where he gets kissed. When you see his eyes. That's what I'm talking about, where it's like this...
I hate Tina.
How can you not hate Tina? She's the worst.
They killed off Rachel to give us Tina. And when Tina dies, she dies saving Jamie. Could you imagine if that would have been Rachel?
Yeah.
The emotional weight behind that really would have pushed Jamie to help Loomis to, okay, I'm in. Let's stop him. How do you kill him?
Yeah.
Because after Tina dies, Loomis says, now are you willing to help me? Can you kill him? I'm going to try.
Yeah.
That would have made much more sense if it would have been Rachel.
Yeah.
But they kill Rachel off. They turn her into a ditz.
Just because the director didn't care.
It all comes back to that director, quite frankly.
Honestly.
I don't know how he got the job, but he should not have gotten the job.
Make a wish.
That's terrible.
It is.
But Michael Myers' mask, I don't know how they couldn't have gotten their hands on the Halloween 4 mask.
Yeah.
It's only a year after the 4th installment. How do you not have that mask on hand?
Yeah.
And maybe they wanted to say the mask was kind of ruined because you see Michael float through the stream But okay, but that somehow
Okay, mess up-
makes the neck longer,
Yeah, it's like, okay, well then mess up the Halloween 4 mask.
right? It's just
Not that the Halloween 4 mask was really that good, but like still it was.
a lot better than this one.
Yeah.
And just the mask isn't all that great. I do like Don Shanks as Michael Myers.
Oh, yeah,
he's
absolutely.
a massive man,
Oh yeah.
and he's very menacing. When they say the Revenge of
yeah.
Michael Myers, Michael does seem pissed.
Yeah.
Throughout this film,
It's definitely Don Shanks is definitely a very skilled stunt performer.
I wouldn't have minded to see him come back to play Michael a couple more times.
Not
Quite
at all.
frankly,
Not at all.
if they would have ever asked him to. His kills in this movie are not all that bad.
They're not bad.
either.
They're not bad.
I don't like the way Rachel dies.
Yeah.
The stab to the shoulders with the scissors. Originally, they wanted that to be scissors down the throat, but luckily the actress,
Yeah.
that's too much for this beloved character. When he kills, when Michael kills Michael, Tina's boyfriend, just so they could do the kiss gag.
Just so they could do that really, really awful. Again, it seems like something from a parody of Halloween.
It really does. Michael's death was good. The barn scene is actually
is
barn
good.
scene is actually tense.
Yeah.
The car chase.
I was about to say
through the field is actually.
I was going to say
tense.
the car. I liked that addition.
I
thought
did
that was
too.
kind of a cool addition. That was going to be one of my pros I was going to list for part 5. Was I thought the car was cool.
The final chase with Michael going after Jamie in the house is actually really good.
It's good.
It holds up for me.
Yeah.
The laundry chute scene, which quite frankly was actually very dangerous for them to do.
Yeah.
Because they're actually using a real butcher knife to stab through that thing.
Mm-hmm.
They could have killed young Danielle Harris. Thankfully, that did not happen.
Yeah. Because she grew up very nicely.
You're gross. I mean, I can't disagree.
She is an attractive lady.
It's hard. Yes, she is. But damn, it's hard for me not to imagine the little girl from these Halloween films. That's how she does such a great job as Jamie Lloyd in both 4 and 5.
She does.
Her and Donald Pleasance carry 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like they take this pile of crap on their back and they carry
Yeah.
it. But Loomis, there's a all the cops are at the Myers house ready to arrest Michael, and they get another call and they all leave.
Yeah.
And when Michael shows up, the other cop in the house goes to radio for help, and Loomis destroys the radio.
Yeah.
This is how far gone off the rails Loomis got, is that he's willing to risk all their lives to get Michael.
Yeah.
Halloween 5 actually has one of my favorite quotes, and it's near the beginning of the film when Loomis is talking to the sheriff.
Yeah.
He's showing his burned arm, and he says, I prayed that he would burn in hell, but in my heart I knew hell would not have him. An amazing quote.
That is a great line.
And of course it comes from Loomis.
Of course.
Who, again, at this point, the heart and soul of the franchise.
Yeah. 100%.
And fast forward to the ending. We can cover more on Halloween 5 on your list. The ending, they capture Michael, and then the mysterious man in black, who's supposed to be Michael's twin brother, because you see the little thorn tattoo on their wrist at some point in the movies.
Yeah.
She kills all the cops and breaks Michael out, and then we don't get the resolution for 6 years because Halloween 6 was, production hell.
Yeah.
That's my number 9. My number 8 is Rob Zombie's Halloween remake.
Okay.
He tried something different, and I can appreciate it to an extent.
Yeah.
I don't like that Michael basically just comes... You make him into a stereotype by making him come from a broken home.
You made him a real serial killer.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to show Michael as a child, I can get down with that.
Sure.
But have him already be evil.
Yeah.
Have him just be this evil entity already. He just hasn't acted on his impulses.
Yeah.
Versus, his stepdad, mistreats him. His older sister mistreats him. He's bullied at school. The only person who treats him right is his mom. And I did enjoy the asylum scenes.
Oh yeah,
with him and Loomis, because you start to see him break.
yeah. You see Loomis, as a really ambitious, and dedicated man.
And you can see where Loomis really wants to help him.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see where Loomis makes a turning point to where I can't help him anymore.
Yeah.
But my issue with Loomis in this one, and no disrespect to Malcolm McDowell, but they really don't give us enough of him deciding that Michael is pure evil and has to be locked away.
Yeah.
Because his last talk with Michael is, you're like my best friend, but I have to move on. It's like he's breaking up with him or something.
Yeah.
It feels weird.
If there was anywhere Love Hurts should have played, it would have been.
And yes, instead we get Love Hurts, where Michael's sitting out on the porch and his mom is stripping.
Right.
And his mom is played by Sherry Moon Zombie, who for once is tolerable in a Rob Zombie movie. Because she plays something different, and quite frankly, she does it kind of well.
She's not bad.
Michael's look in this movie, I don't like that you can see his eyes, but it's already been established that he is human.
Yeah.
And the mask looks menacing.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the return of Danielle Harris to the franchise, playing another historical character in the franchise, Annie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it works, but my issues with it is that Laurie is so obnoxious.
Yeah.
And sure, you don't want this. I'm not saying just give us the stereotype good girl.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to make her kind of bad, that's cool. But she's not likable.
Yeah.
And that's my problem with this movie, is that most of the characters aren't likable. The most likable guy is Sheriff Brackett, played by Brad Dourif, who again brings it to the table.
Absolutely.
And it's not that Malcolm McDowell as Dr. Loomis isn't likable. It's just, it's hard to imagine anyone doing that outside Donald
That's
Pleasance.
true. But if anyone was going to, I'm glad it was Malcolm McDowell.
The fair point. But Zombie didn't do him any favors by
no.
totally misinterpreting the character.
Yeah.
And again, this is where he establishes that Michael needs the mask.
Yeah.
And there are two different versions of him breaking out.
Yeah.
You have the theatrical version where he kills a bunch of cops and gets away, which that's the version I prefer.
Yeah.
And then you have the uncut version. The rape scene.
Yeah.
With the
guards.
Yeah. They basically take a female
Inmate.
Yeah. Go into Michael's room and rape her in front of him. And he only steps up to kill these two after they grab his mask. The multiple masks that he's already made for himself. And it's... I'm not saying you can't have rape in a film.
Yeah.
It's always going to be uncomfortable no matter what.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do it, it has to have meaning.
It felt like it was added for the sake of sleaze.
Exactly.
Which, sleaze for the sake of sleaze, depending on how aware of it you are, I think can work. I think it can be fun. I love movie pieces.
But it doesn't work in a Halloween movie.
Right.
If they would have just, because obviously one of the guards is kind of new.
Yeah.
Go into Michael's room and start messing with him and mess with his mask.
Yeah.
That's all the explanation you need.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. And after Michael finally breaks out, the last 45 minutes of this movie basically is a remake of part one.
Yeah.
I'll give it this. The gore is good.
Yeah.
The him chasing Laurie in the old Myers house, awesome.
It was good.
Tyler Maine. I'm sorry. Tyler Maine has Michael Myers is a freaking Hulk.
Yeah.
And him punching through the wall.
Yeah.
That was cool.
It was.
That was cool. And I did like, because he's already been humanized, when Laurie has the gun and Michael charges at her and they both fall off the balcony.
Yeah.
It was good. I just wish it was a one-off.
Yeah.
Because his follow-up is garbage.
Yeah.
My number 7, and I know this is much higher on your list. My number 7 Halloween 3: Season of the Witch.
Mm-hmm.
It's infamous because it does not have Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
This is when John Carpenter and Deborah Hill wanted to take it as an anthology series, but the only issue is you already did Halloween 2 with Michael. There's no turning back after that, in my opinion. But a lot of people crapped on it because there's no Michael. I did too.
Sure.
I won't deny that. I definitely crapped on it because there was no Michael. But going back and watching it, it's a good film on its own. Yeah. Is it Tom Atkins?
Tom Atkins, yeah.
Tom Atkins is our lead. Not the most likable guy.
No, not supposed to be. Not supposed to be.
But
he's kind of supposed to be one of those, just like, this guy's a dick, but he's not irredeemable.
Yes, because he tries to do the right thing by the end of the movie. And Cochran.
I love Connell Cochran.
What an awesome villain.
Oh, and happy Halloween.
And I even love when Cochran is about to die, and instead of freaking out, he gives a little tip of the hat.
Yeah, just kind of that almost, well done.
Like, you did it.
Yeah. And also the actor Dan O'Herlihy, he was in RoboCop.
Which actor?
Dan O'Herlihy. He was the guy who was like the big was he the CEO or something like that, but not the main villain, but the guy who was like a rank above the main villain.
Oh, okay, I know who you're talking about.
Where he fires him, therefore he's no longer an employee.
Yes.
And so,
and Season of the Witch has its own iconic theme.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it has a couple, but one is more iconic than the other. It has its own theme, and then it has
Happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Stop it!
Yeah. Which is kind of how all of us
Tom Atkins was speaking for everyone watching.
I love that the Silver Shamrock masks are appearing in Halloween Kills.
Same. I mean, yeah, they had their brief little shout out in 2018, but I like that they are fully fledged in...
Yeah, and they even have like the Silver Shamrock logo on them, so it's like the Silver Shamrock company, probably not in the same, guise, but, probably not in the same context, but Silver Shamrock toy company exists in
this
universe, even if it's not
this timeline,
even if it's not a ancient coven.
And just Season of the Witch, it has George P. Wilbur, who has played Michael Myers twice.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
As
the kills are good. It is menacing in its own way. Like if there are people out there who diss this movie because it doesn't have Michael Myers, give it a rewatch.
Yeah.
Take that out of it, and you'll actually enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But, it doesn't go without its flaws.
Sure.
There are things about that I'm not the biggest fan of.
Oh, sure.
But the mask scene is great. Haunting.
Little buddy.
Haunting.
Fuck me.
The balls.
Yeah.
To kill a kid on camera.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That doesn't happen.
Right. I was going to say, because the other Halloween...
And it hardly happens today either.
No.
We're just less shocked.
I was going to say, only one other Halloween... only one other Halloween movie has done that, and it's the 2018 one.
Mm-hmm. But there's no blood.
Yeah. In this case, the death was, like, so gruesome.
There's no blood, but you can feel that kid's pain.
Yeah. It's... in a certain way, it's almost like the face clamp from Saw 2, where it's like most of the face is covered, but you know just how vicious and gruesome that death is, because you know how painful it is.
Like, it just turns into a bunch of insects.
Yeah, like his head, like, you don't know if it like rots or if it morphs, or like you just know that he is dead, and his head is no more.
It's almost a fate worse than death.
Yeah.
Or you wish he would have died sooner.
Yeah, it's a slow death.
And isn't this one where Tom Atkins sees it happen?
Yeah, because
Cochran shows him.
Yeah, and of course Cochran is just like...
so smug.
Yeah, just like, I can't wait for this to happen to every child in America.
Right?
Like,
oh my goodness. And the desperation in Tom
Yeah.
Atkins' voice to try to get this commercial to
Yeah.
stop. Chilling, because
Tom Atkins is a good actor.
he is. He really is. And, I kind of like that his female love interest, who's way too young for him, by the way. But
80s.
I like the twist that, she, got...
At some point,
got turned.
yeah.
And he doesn't think twice. He does what he needs to do.
Yeah, he's like, oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
looking back on it, I do feel bad for her.
Oh,
It's
sure.
Like, damn, you almost made it.
Yeah.
But, and again, the fact that you don't know what happens,
Yeah.
epic.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have Michael.
So for you personally,
personally, I can only rank it this high.
Yeah.
Even though it does have good merits on its own.
Yeah.
And man, Cochran is awesome.
I love him so much.
If there was ever a good substitute for Michael and the exact opposite of
Yeah,
Michael,
'cause-
Cochran was it.
Yeah, because for one, he is human and is incredibly smart, and he's pure evil, but he is loving.
It's almost as if Dr. Loomis was like, "Fuck them kids.
Yeah,
I'm gonna kill all these kids for making me do this." My number 6, I think this is gonna be a little surprising.
I think I know what it is.
Halloween H2O.
Oh, that's not what I thought it was gonna be. Interesting.
My biggest issue with H2O, the damn mask.
Yeah.
The multiple masks.
Yeah.
The one they were using originally, how do you not know that that's not the mask?
Yeah. Yeah, that was.
I
that
think
was
they
embarrassing.
took it to a restaurant and then someone pointed out that it wasn't a Michael Myers mask. And they were originally going to use a version of the curse mask,
Yeah.
which would have been great.
Which would have been great, yeah.
Probably would be much higher on my list. But they didn't want any continuity issues with the Thorn trilogy, so they cut that.
Yeah.
Which, we had that one terrible CGI shot.
Right.
Why did we give a CGI Michael? We didn't deserve that.
That was unforgivable.
But the mask that is primarily featured, he's got like a spiky afro going on,
Oh yeah.
and you can see his eyes.
Yeah.
And just why?
Yeah.
Go use the Halloween 4 method of putting black mesh over it so we can't see his eyes.
Yeah.
It would work much better, but I mean, when Jamie hits him in the nuts, you see him react to it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it humanizes what it's supposed to be evil incarnate, and it just doesn't work for me. Fun fact, though, the Halloween franchise has been the introductory of a lot of actors. You got Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. Josh Hartnett. Yeah.
And
Paul Stephen Rudd.
Paul Stephen Rudd.
As he was credited. Paul Stephen Rudd.
And now the granddaughter, her first feature-length film.
Let me look at
Halloween
her name.
2018. I can't remember. I think it's Andy something. But
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
Andy
remember
something, but yeah.
But the Halloween H2O, it does explore, Laurie on the run or constantly running.
Andy Matichak, I don't know. It's Matichak. So.
I won't attempt it.
Yeah.
But Laurie's on the run, and she eventually turns and fights. But for me, it feels like they were just remaking the first Halloween with all the beats that they took. Now, while I appreciated the opening montage of a Dr. Loomis voiceover,
Yeah.
And I did like that Jamie Lee Curtis got to act alongside with her mom, who was driving the original Psycho car.
Yeah, that was the best
Nice
part.
touch.
That was the best part.
But it just feels that they're just repeating all the beats from the first film instead of trying to be its own entity.
Yeah.
Which really hammers it for me, and the music doesn't work.
Yeah.
I remember the one scene I remember the most is Michael walking down the hallway chasing after Laurie, and you just hear like this constant like slashing sound.
Yeah.
It feels very. It feels like they're trying to make Halloween into Scream, but it feels like Michael Myers in a Scream movie.
It does,
and it just doesn't work.
I forgot Steve Miner directed that one, who also directed Friday the 13th.
Part 2.
Part 2 and Part 3.
That's right.
But he also directed some good stuff. He directed a movie called House, not Houseu, not the Japanese film, but a movie called House with William Catt. Then he directed Warlock. Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
From H2O, my number 5. I know I shouldn't have it this high.
Yeah, I know.
But it was my first horror movie ever, and my nostalgia biasness does kind of kick in.
Yeah.
Number 5, Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, or just Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Michael looks badass.
He does.
And George P. Wilbur returns to play the part. Eventually, when they did the reshoots, they got Anthony Lerner to play Michael, who doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion. As bad as and unorganized as the movie is, when Anthony Lerner is Michael, feels really good.
Oh, yeah.
And just Michael seems more evil and more menacing in this than he had in previous installments.
Yeah.
And the violence.
Yeah.
This was really the first time that we get a lot of blood and gore in a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
And it definitely feels dated with it being in the 90s. I know the theatrical version kind of takes a more grunge rock sound to it, which I was actually okay with. There's and of course Paul Stephen Rudd plays Tommy Doyle. This is Donald Pleasance, his last appearance as Dr. Loomis before he died. I hate that the director said he was boring.
Yeah.
You just didn't know what you had.
Yeah.
And what I wish...
What I was focus groups of like early test screenings of like 12-year-olds said he was boring. Like literally that's the horse shit that they had to work with.
What I wish we could get is a spliced version of the theatrical mix with the producer's cut. Because there are things from the producer's cut that I enjoy more, but I prefer the theatrical ending. I didn't like all the stuff with the cult and Michael just kind of standing there being useless. I like Michael snapping and killing the cult.
Yeah. Sure.
You know, in Curse, you know, we discover that Michael's been controlled by an ancient cult this entire time.
Yeah.
It's just lame. But it does have its moments. I like that the Myers house is revisited and it looks like the original house.
Yeah.
I enjoy Loomis's conversation with Deborah Strode. Fun fact, the Strode parents is John and Deborah.
John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, yeah.
Yeah, that was on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
And I like Loomis's conversation with Deborah because this is after his, you know, full Ahab Halloween 5. And of course, you know, Pleasance was ill and all that.
Yeah.
But Loomis just seems tired. Like, he's not even mad anymore. He's just almost just trying to warn Deborah. And, you know, in the theatrical version, we just get, you know, a fiery, impassioned speech, whereas in the producer's cut, we get him explaining, you know, this has been my life's work and my ultimate failure.
Yeah.
Like, him acknowledging that he has failed,
Yeah.
that carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And all the stuff with Donald Pleasance in the producer's cut, it should have made it to the theatrical.
Yeah.
I hate what they did with Jamie.
Yeah.
She deserved better.
Mm-hmm.
Danielle Harris knew she deserved better, but
They wouldn't pay her.
nope. And all the rewrites that they were doing, and
Because she originally didn't die in the opening.
she gets injured
Yeah.
and taken to a hospital.
She's in the
but
hospital, but yeah.
even when she dies in the hospital, it's lame because it's the man in black shooting her in the head with a silenced pistol.
Yeah.
Since when did this become a mob movie?
Right.
It just, it's bad, but the kills are great. Paul Stephen Rudd is great. Awkward, but great.
Yeah.
I really do wish we could get a spliced version of both.
Okay.
Because there are scenes, I want the majority of the Donald Pleasance scenes, because I'd rather have Michael kill Jamie instead of the man in black.
Sure.
Then again, maybe not, because I do like Donald Pleasance and Dr. Loomis crying over Jamie's body, like, I failed you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And I have some thoughts that I'll get to when we cover when I get to my list, because I have some very strong opinions about part 6.
I can tell. You seem a little amped. It's just, it means a lot to me because it got me started in horror.
Right,
but
of course.
And I can sit back and I can put it in and I can enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
Because it's ultimately none of the actor's fault.
Oh, of course.
It's not even the original writer's fault, although I didn't like where he was trying to take the story to begin with.
Gotcha.
And it can't even be the director's fault because he's dealing with, I think, 2 or 3 different studios who are fighting for the rights at this point. Like, it was just a conjointed mess. And that's what we got. I do think John's death in the producer's cut is better.
Really?
Yes. Because of the way Michael enters the room.
Right.
You know, John falls to the ground after finding the bloody sheets in the washer. Right. And when Michael walks in, you can hear him breathe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, you just mean the scene.
The scene,
The scene, okay.
The scene of where he kills John.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wish there was a way to combine the two.
I wish you could combine the scene, but like, take that scene and then just put in the head blowing up. Like, the rest of the scene normal.
I like the way he enters it, but then keep the head explosion. But
just make that one ultimate demise. Yeah.
But I like the way he enters and his, like, the way he breathes. It just sounds creepy. It's like, oh man, you in trouble.
Yeah.
And I like that this movie really brought back the breathing of Michael.
Yeah.
Because a lot of 4 and 5 kind of lost. 2, 4, and 5 kind of lost that.
Yeah.
And 6, you hear him breathing a lot. Like, it's...
Yeah. Because it doesn't sound like a creature breathing. It sounds like a person. Which makes it even creepier.
And I feel like the final showdown between Tommy and Michael is better in the theatrical than what we get in the producer's cut. Because the rooms aren't fully explained, again, due to the multiple rewrites.
Right.
But what we got in the producer's cut, it feels very anticlimactic.
Sure.
Compared to what we got in the theatrical. And even though it's not that good,
That's fair.
At least it's something that feels more final.
That's fair.
I wish we could have gotten that, and then with Loomis walking back in, but obviously we couldn't get that due to the passing of Donald Pleasance, because a lot of the reshoots happened after he died.
Yeah.
And I will say, for as bad as the movie was, And as much as the director was very disrespectful to Donald Pleasance, at least when the movie opens, they do have a rest in memory of Donald Pleasance.
Yeah.
Or I think that happens at the end of the movie.
It's the end.
Okay, thank you. But I enjoy this movie so much, and it means a lot to me because of that was my introduction to horror. So yeah, maybe I'm blinded by that, and I'm sure you'll definitely point that out. My number 4, Halloween 2.
Interesting.
It just... Michael feels more robotic.
Yeah.
And I get that he's not... you have to question whether he's human, but he still has to have human movements. Mm-hmm. He feels like the Terminator going after Laurie in that hospital. I mean, the way he even moves with the scalpel and the slow stabbing... I'll be back.
Yeah.
I'll be a stabbing.
Right.
That's a terrible Arnold impression, I know. But it just...
Absolutely awful.
Thank you.
Terrible.
I'll leave the impressions to you.
Absolutely terrible.
It just, It's not bad. I was about to say it's bad, but I'm thinking of the other films.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, but it just feels like a faster paced version of the first. Whereas I have no issue with it being on the same night. Not at all. I just feel there could have been so much more potential of everyone in the town is pissed because they're throwing rocks at the Myers house, but that's all we see.
Right.
And I wish we could have gotten more Sheriff Brackett instead of... Obviously, he needs to go tell his wife about Annie, but the fact that he doesn't resurface after that is kind of a letdown to me personally.
Yeah.
Instead, we get Michael talking to, I think, Deputy Hunt is his name?
Michael,
I'm sorry, Dr. Loomis.
I was going to say.
Dr. Loomis is talking to Deputy Hunt about Michael Myers, and it's basically just repeating all the stuff that he's told Brackett.
Right.
So just where I feel it could have... and of course this is when we get the infamous brother-sister twist that really defined the franchise for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I just, out of all the directions it went, or all the chances it could have took, it just feels like the same as the first, and it doesn't really try to do anything new. Yeah. But Michael looks great. Mm-hmm. It is the original mask. It's just, worn and tore out after 3 years, and it's a really good movie. I think Michael approaching Laurie when she's in the elevator is
that was good.
Tense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when he gets his hand in and you think that door's about to open, and another knock on it is Laurie's not really in it all that much.
No, oddly enough.
Yeah, and I didn't really care enough about the hospital staff to be invested in them. Yeah. And again, Loomis is more of a bystander in this. Like, I feel like Loomis obviously shines in all of them. Right. But I feel as though Loomis has more action in 4 and 5. Yeah. But I do enjoy it. I couldn't place it any higher because it's basically number 1, just faster. Sure. My number 3, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Okay. And I know people really appreciate the film. I think it just gets a lot of negativity just due to the mask. Yeah. But it's not the worst mask in the franchise. No, there's... Not by far. I mean, there's the Halloween 5 mask, for crying out loud. Yeah. I've grown to appreciate the mask. Okay. Used in Halloween 4. Because, again, you can't see his eyes. Yeah. And it obviously has to be different because the first one was burned. Yeah. Why they're selling Michael Myers mask in his hometown of Haddonfield, I don't know. But okay. And I just, I feel this is when Michael is hitting that peak of, is he supernatural?
Yeah.
Because he should die.
There's such a mythic quality to him at this point.
Yes, and the fact that this is when we're first introduced to Jamie Lloyd.
Yeah.
Okay, him going after Lori is one thing, because, you know, she's 17, basically an adult.
Right.
Who can defend herself. Jamie's an 8-year-old girl. She can't defend herself.
Right.
And the rooftop scene with Jamie, Rachel, and Michael.
Yeah.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
And the kills in this movie are fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, you have the thumb to the head.
Yeah.
The Michael crushing Brady's head.
Yeah.
The shotgun. Michael holding a shotgun is weird.
That's
but
just
him
yeah.
Basically using it to stab someone's even better.
Yeah.
And again, the twist ending
Yeah.
of, and according to the writer, Michael was dead.
Yeah.
And you know, the evil gets passed on to Jamie, and Loomis's cries
Of no. Yeah.
that's horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And just so much potential for a good Halloween 5 that we just didn't get.
Yeah.
Fun fact, this came out in 1988. Same years has Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 and Friday the 13th Part 7.
What do you know?
And Nightmare on Elm Street made more than Halloween 4 and Friday combined. Freddy was hot at the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was also very hot, you know, earlier on when he was, you know, set on fire.
If we weren't so close to the audio, I'd dump this water on you.
And you would be justified in doing so.
I'd be more worried about hurting my mask.
That's fair.
But Halloween 4 is such a good sequel. And even though there is more gore, it's not over the top and it's used effectively. Like with Earl's death.
Yeah.
Michael punching through that window, ripping his throat open.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So good. And I like the opening.
Yeah.
It gives that fall presence. It goes back to, is he more than just a man?
Yeah.
You know, is he just pure evil? Is there a reason why he's doing what he's doing? I even enjoyed the cold open with the journalist and Dr. Sartain.
I love that.
With you know, I want to get close to him, see if his awareness or lack thereof. Oh, he's aware.
Yeah.
You know, he's been watching you since you arrived.
Yeah.
Okay, that.
What?
And you want to get close?
Exactly.
Are you
yeah.
dumb? Yes, they are. But it's, and I like the going back to the pumpkin opening, and it's a rotted pumpkin growing back.
Yeah.
Like we're getting
yeah.
a Halloween sequel that we deserved.
Right.
And this movie brought in more money than I believe the last 7 or 8 films combined. I'd have to look that up. But
yeah.
The mask is awesome. It just feels Michael's been locked away for 40 years and he's unleashing 40 years of pure rage on Haddonfield.
Yeah.
I love Will Patton. I think he does a great job.
Yeah.
I like Judy Greer.
I do too.
I hope she gets more of a chance to it looks like she's getting more of a chance to shine in Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
Her little monologue to her daughter felt kind of monotone.
Yeah. I think it was supposed I assumed there was supposed to be this element of she's trying to she's like digging up trauma she tried to bury, but yeah, it came off a little flat.
Yeah. But the gore and the kills and the reason why I say you can feel Michael's rage is he does a lot of head slamming. Aaron, the male journalist,
Yeah.
gets a beating in that
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's dead.
Yeah. Well, and just the whole thing with the teeth. That was just
Right?
horrifying.
And that was one of the highlights in the trailer.
It was.
Was him dropping the teeth. And even that's an indicator of,
Yeah.
oh, shit.
Yeah, that's the trailer saying we're not fucking around.
And the fact that they had Nick Castle on set working with...
Yeah, coaching
coaching
James Courtney.
Makes it better because the way he moves,
Yeah.
it's the closest thing to the original Michael Myers that we've gotten.
Yeah.
The two long shots of him walking the streets of Haddonfield and killing two random people for no reason.
Yeah.
He just, they were there. And we see him kill a kid on screen.
Yeah.
This is the first time Michael's killed a kid on screen. And anytime, and this is something that a lot of the sequels have failed to do, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Such as Resurrection, and 5. Anytime you see Michael Myers in this movie, it's tense.
Yeah.
And yes, they do play a little one too many homages to the original.
Yeah, sure.
There are a lot of shout outs to a lot of the other films throughout the franchise.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Judy Greer.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been... Part of me does kind of wish they could have got Danielle Harris to be Laurie's daughter and just name her Jamie Strode.
I mean, yeah.
Wishful thinking, but Judy Greer is phenomenal.
She's
And
great.
I also love that her character just is done with her mom's bullshit and wears a Christmas sweater on Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just like, fuck all of this.
I think it's kind of bizarre that Allison calls her grandmother.
Yeah.
I don't know who does that these days.
I mean, there are people that do.
But I will say, for the characters who die in this film, a good portion of them do get built up that when they die, it matters.
Yeah.
The blonde babysitter.
Yeah.
I didn't really care about her friendship with Allison.
Yeah.
But when we see her establish that she is a good babysitter to the kid.
The kid is hilarious.
Yes. Julius?
I think so, yeah. But yeah, it's like you get the feeling she cares about him.
And even when Michael's after her, she's telling him to run.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, her first priority is make sure he's okay.
And so when she gets killed off, it sucks.
Yeah.
When Will Patton gets killed off, it sucks. That sucked. My biggest issue is the Dr. Sartain twist. I've come to accept it a little bit because he's the evil Loomis. And yes, we do get the line of Laurie, oh, you're the new Loomis. There will never be a new Loomis.
Julian was the kid's name.
Julian,
Yeah.
thank you.
Which I think was kind of their point. Is there's not going to be a new... there never could be. So let's take a totally different direction.
And while it it has slightly grown on me, especially going back and rewatching, you can see you can see where he is making the moves and the decisions.
Yeah.
You can see the seeds being planted. Especially, I hate to see him go to such a horrible place.
Yeah. You do?
And the fact that he's so obsessed with Michael that he wants to see him kill to
Yeah.
know why he's doing it.
Yeah.
And this movie,
And I do have thoughts on that character that I'll get to when we get to mine.
and this movie would have been the only time I would have been okay with Michael speaking, since they seem to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
Luckily, we didn't get that.
Right.
Though. Thank goodness.
Yeah, maybe if like it just built up to you and he just goes Strode or something like that, and then just Strode, ding 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 ding, and just immediately that's the credits or something like that.
But luckily, we did.
Or Loomis, I don't know if he, but it shouldn't have been die like that was.
Terrible.
Anyway,
We've come a long way.
we have.
It's
Come a long way from one movie to the next.
like, here's how detailed everyone who was working on this movie cared.
Yeah.
And it shows. Because even on the mask, which I'm going to actually point out.
Yeah.
So this is the mask from the 2018 film. There's a little hole right here.
Yeah.
From where Laurie stabs him with the needle.
Yeah.
From part 1 with from the sewing kit.
Yeah.
That's attention to detail.
It is.
That's how much passion
Yeah.
went into it. The people who made it wanted to make a good Halloween film,
Yeah.
which has been missing for so long.
Yeah.
And it's why it's my number 2 is because it wasn't made just to grab money.
Yeah.
It was made to be a good Halloween film, and it shows. I felt it. I watched it in theaters 3 times.
Yeah.
Because I was just enthralled with it.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say this.
Yeah.
I hate that Will Patton got killed the way he did.
Sure.
Why he isn't... It kind of seemed he was a love interest for Laurie, or possibly one of her ex-husbands, but I believe it's been clear that he's not.
Yeah.
Which it would almost make sense if he was, just based off of how the relationship that they had.
Yeah.
I hope for some reason he's not actually dead. Sartain's death, though, yes.
Oh man.
Literally stomps his head in.
Just the most fucked up. I mean.
And how we got the bumbling cops in Halloween 5. We get some bumbling cops here.
We do, but it works.
They feel real.
It doesn't feel like we're saying comedy dialogue. It feels like 2 guys that
have been partners for a while. They know each other well.
They're just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
And they're actually funny.
I would agree. Homemade brownie. I made it myself. That looks like something a 5-year-old would eat if they could pack their own lunch.
Yeah.
It works for me.
Yeah.
And their deaths come off screen, but you see the aftermath and gnarly.
Yeah.
I know that's a throwback term, but damn.
I still use it.
You definitely see Michael's dark sense of humor with that kill.
Yeah.
And I can't praise it enough. It has reignited the passion that's been missing for so long, and the fan base deserves it. I just think 2018 did so much right.
I agree.
Which leads into my number 1. Obviously, it's the original. It's my favorite movie of all time. The score. Real quick, going back to my number 2, the fact that they got John Carpenter to come back and work on the sound means something.
Oh, absolutely.
The fact that he approved the script means something.
And I love the additional "The Shape Hunts Allison" theme with that.
Yes.
I mean, just where they apparently struck an electric guitar with a violin bow.
Oh.
To make that sound.
Nice.
But yeah, it's there's a little featurette about creating the score because he created it with his son.
That's right.
Cody Carpenter, and then another guy. But yeah, it was I thought it turned out really well. And he is also credited for the score for Halloween Kills. So hopefully that means he's involved in it. Hopefully that means it's not just holdover from what he used in previous.
And I was saying earlier about how I don't want to see his eyes when Laurie sets her house on fire.
Yeah.
And you kind of see the explosion in the background, and you see it light up, and you see his one good eye.
Yeah. That worked.
It worked. He looks so evil and so mad.
Yeah. He doesn't look scared.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's honestly so scary about it, is he does not look like there's any fear.
It's just he's primarily focused on Laurie.
Yeah.
It just works. It works. That's the one time that I want to see his eye.
Yeah.
Number 1, Halloween, 1978.
What else can you
Score is amazing. The Nick Castle made Michael. I mean, John Carpenter obviously had a lot of input.
Of course.
But Nick Castle was the right guy.
His performance just perfect.
And, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis, Nancy Loomis as Annie. It feels like a real friendship between two actual teenagers.
It does.
Instead of a popular girl just being friends with the super shy girl.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like... They don't feel like CW teenagers.
Yes.
They feel like actual, like, suburban teenagers.
Well, and this was kind of my issue with the first Friday the 13th, is that the teenagers in that one, they almost feel like cartoons.
They do.
And maybe that was on purpose, maybe not, but...
I got the impression it was somewhat on purpose, but at the same time, that doesn't mean it gets a 100% pass. But, like, in this case, and in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, these feel like actual teenagers.
Yes. And, you know...
Their interactions feel like actual interactions between friends.
And any time Michael appears, it's almost out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, Tommy looking out the window and just seeing the shape standing away in the distance, looking at him. I'm getting chills thinking about it. It's a great shot. And the music...
It is.
Amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
And when Annie is walking Lindsay over to Tommy's house, and Michael just pops up behind the car staring at her, and that...
Yeah.
Amazing. And it's like, you know Annie's about to die, but you thought it was going to happen already.
Yeah.
So when it finally does happen, it's shocking. Because she goes to get in the car, and it's locked, because she doesn't have the keys.
Yeah.
She gets the keys and doesn't unlock the door. She just opens it and sits down, and it almost dawns on her that it was locked. And why is it foggy in here? And then you see Michael pop up and grab her. The only knock I have to give it is, how is he choking her and slitting her throat at the same time? My only knock.
Yeah.
Other than that, pure masterpiece.
Just the suspense feels so well done.
And Loomis.
Yeah.
He does such a great job describing Michael that it raises the stakes.
Yeah.
And his passion of seeing Michael stopped.
Yeah.
So that's my list. Number 11, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. 10 is Resurrection. Number 9 is Halloween 5. 8, Rob Zombie's Halloween. 7, Season of the Witch. 6, H2O. 5, Halloween 6 / Producer's Cut. Number 4, Halloween 2. Number 3, Halloween 4. Number 2, Halloween 2018. Number 1, the OG. The king of them all, Halloween 1978.
Absolutely.
You want to take it away with your Halloween rankings.
Yeah.
And remember how precious this franchise is to me.
I know.
Okay, I'm judging you harshly.
Okay. So...
He's feeling the pressure.
I am. So my number 11 is Halloween Resurrection.
Okay.
You know, that's kind of the one that's most people consider to be the worst one, and I know that's not really a particularly nuanced take, I suppose, but I really do think it's the weakest one. And I'll get to why I have a somewhat complicated relationship with your number 11, which is the second Rob Zombie one. But with Resurrection, it really felt like no one was taking it seriously. It also felt aggressively 2000. Or when did it come out? Was it
2002.
2002. It felt aggressively.
Well, this was like the era of reality TV, or at least when reality TV was like really starting to hit a peak.
Yeah.
Going back and rewatching it, it does feel very dated.
Yeah.
And for me, a big issue I have with it is they basically strip Michael of all the things that make him Michael Myers. That makes him the boogeyman, and now he's just a generic slasher in a haunted house wearing a Michael Myers mask.
Right. And it's not that he hadn't become a generic slasher yet. They kind of ebbed and flowed with, his, the things that made him, so cool. But this one really just felt like the biggest waste, I guess. This one felt like it was a waste of time.
Except for the one line.
Except for the one line that is unintentionally hilarious.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
The hell was Busta Rhymes doing in this
The
movie?
one redeemable thing about this movie
redeemable thing
is a Busta Rhymes line.
And I don't think was meant to be it wasn't meant to be cringy.
It was meant to be cool.
Yeah.
Because he's the cool guy.
But
everyone wants to be Busta Rhymes in this movie.
Right, but it's the cringiest, just like... It's up there with...
Even Michael's head tilt in this movie is bad.
Yeah, it's up there with Do Your Thing, cuz, as far as, like, cringy... It's not as bad. Never said it was as bad. But it's that level of just... Dude...
I see where you're coming from. But, this did kind of kill the franchise. Or the original...
Right.
The original run before the remakes.
Thank God for David Gordon Green and Danny McBride.
Thank you. Thank you.
But we'll get to them in a moment. But this one just felt like... It also felt the most pandery. Like, it felt like it was trying... It felt like a very... How do you do, fellow kids? Like, it felt like... It felt very much like, look, we're hip. Look, it's reality TV. Hey, we got Tyra Banks. Busta Rhymes is here and he's doing karate. What?
I imagine they got Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks because they knew they had to kill Jamie Lee Curtis off fairly early.
Yeah, which that was just...
That was her call. She didn't want to do it. From what I understand, I could be wrong. She was on board for doing H2O. But for her, H2O was supposed to be the end.
It should have been.
And apparently there was a clause in a contract somewhere that says Michael cannot die. You cannot kill him.
Okay.
And I'm fairly certain that's null and void now. I would hope so. But
really hope so.
That's why they couldn't fully commit to, he's just full on dead, and why they had to do the whole switcheroo thing in Resurrection. And Jamie Lee did not want to make Resurrection.
Okay, well then...
And I believe she was saying the only way I'm going to do it is if you kill me in the first couple minutes.
Okay, well if that's the case, then yeah, I'm more okay with it. The way they did it though was...
And again, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, please correct me in a nice way.
Right. The way that Michael was able to trick her so easily, like, it just felt like, look, if they want to pull a Psycho or Scream, where Scream kind of upped the ante with the whole we killed off the leading lady, or who you thought was going to be the leading lady, because Drew Barrymore's cameo in Scream, that was an homage to Psycho.
And she was all over the promotional work for
Exactly.
Scream. I mean, she's on the cover.
Right.
She's top billed.
She's not top billed, but it's towards the top.
Yeah, toward the top.
But if they wanted to do something like that, you could have done it way better. But again, it felt like they didn't care about making a Halloween movie. They just wanted to crank out, a horror movie that was, cool and hip with the times. And it was like the way, sometimes when they make a movie that's trying to incorporate, current, themes and current culture, it felt like a very soulless way of doing that. It didn't feel like there was any sort of commentary or it didn't feel organic. It just felt like, what if we put Michael in this?
Well, and I will say the kills aren't all that great either.
Yeah.
The one kill I liked is the head crush, but you can always get me with a good head crush.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And they actually go a little further with it with the blood coming out the eyes
Yeah.
and the mouth. It was a cool head crush, but
Right. I wanted to see Tyra Banks die more violently.
Well, there's a deleted scene that gives us a visual of her death instead
Okay.
of just the body.
Cool.
But
Cool.
yeah. What's your problem with Tyra Banks?
It's really more just the fact that would be such a like.
Actually, seeing a celebrity being killed in a horror film,
Yeah.
yes, it would be quite cool. Which is why House of Wax only promoted, "Hey, you want to see Paris Hilton die?"
Yeah.
We did.
We did. We didn't want to see anything else in that movie.
Nope.
Because it was
Garbage.
god-awful. Just, but, and I am a Vincent Price super fan. Like, he is one of my heroes. Not only just as an actor, but as a person. And so the idea of not only are we going to remake a Vincent Price movie, but it's going to be a classic, obnoxious, horny teens kind of horror movie. It's like, no, stop it.
Which is exactly what Resurrection is.
Exactly.
Just with Michael Myers.
Right. Well, that's my number 11. My number 10, and again, this is, there is a significant reason why we differ on this. My number 10 is Halloween 6. Now, of course, again, I didn't grow up with it. I didn't have the nostalgic attachment to it. My big thing with this one is it felt like they were pissing on Donald Pleasance's grave. Because he died after they wrapped shooting. And because it didn't test well with, like, teenage boys who didn't want a movie that was as talky or, philosophical. They wanted more kills and stuff like that. They wanted a bigger focus on, the violence. So they did a whole bunch of reshoots, completely redid the ending. And
I personally prefer the newer ending.
Sure.
But a lot of stuff that cut out with Loomis, they should have kept.
Yeah.
Loomis, at this point, no offense to Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance was the heart and soul of the Halloween franchise for a long time. There's a big reason why this franchise felt lost without him. It's a reason why it still doesn't feel right.
Right.
But anyway.
But just having him reduced in this movie after he'd passed away, just felt insulting. And
no offense to Paul Stephen Rudd.
Yeah.
His opening monologue replaced the exact same one that Donald Pleasance does in the producer's cut. And Donald Pleasance does a way better job.
Yeah.
And it only makes sense for his character to do this monologue because of all the history between Michael and Loomis.
Right. He was the one sort of holding it together and making it feel less generic than a lot of these other slasher movies and Halloween imitators, because he was such a cool, interesting, very layered character, and of course a large part of that is the result of Donald Pleasance being an amazing actor. And he even said the reason he did come back was because the original script, he said the original script was the best one since the first one. Now, of course, they didn't even the original, cut of the film wasn't the exact script. But yeah, that one just felt like, I don't know.
The big one for me that got cut is there were two big scenes for me that got cut for the theatrical version. When Michael attacks Jamie Lloyd, in the theatrical cut, it's a kill.
Yeah.
In the producer's cut, it's not a kill.
Yeah, she's in the hospital.
She's in the hospital, and when you see Loomis approaching her unconscious body, you just see the despair and like all of his failures coming out of him. I believe he even says to Jamie, "I failed you. I'm sorry. I wasn't there."
Yeah,
and it's tragic, and it does pull at your heartstrings if you've been with these characters from the beginning. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff with him and Wynn, Dr. Wynn, that got cut, which makes the Man in Black reveal in the theatrical version so much lamer.
Yeah.
because instead of getting that gradual build up, it's, oh hey, you remember this guy? He's been hanging out with Loomis for a while.
Right.
The one scene I remember is in the producer's cut, Loomis is telling Dr. Wynn, I need your help with this because I can't do this by myself anymore.
Right.
I can't do it alone.
Yeah.
And, the fact that he gets betrayed,
Right.
The producer's cut has a lot to it I like. I
Sure.
just prefer the theatrical cuts ending because
Sure.
I didn't like Michael just being a pawn.
You mean the finale, not the very
The
end where
finale.
it just like ends?
Yeah, I meant the finale.
Yeah.
If you want to do stuff with the cult, have Michael snap and go back to the very opening monologue of you can't control evil.
Yeah.
And have Michael butcher all these people.
Yeah.
That would have been great instead of laying down some runes and then he just
Right.
stops like a robot.
Right. But yeah, this just felt disrespectful to me. And, again, Donald Pleasance, I love him. I've loved him in other stuff as well. But I don't know, minimizing his role the way they did just felt disrespectful. It would be like if, obviously, this movie isn't as great as the first Halloween movie, but it would be like if in the third Night at the Museum movie, they cut out half of Robin Williams's scenes. And then, yeah. My number 9 is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. The reason it's not my 11 is because, and again, this is me, putting on, those movie critic goggles. The worst thing about it is the fact that it's a Halloween movie. It would be a very, standard kind of average Rob Zombie movie if it weren't for the Halloween branding. That was sort of what ruined it, was the fact that they tried to that it was a Halloween movie. And again, this is another example of what I've referred to as a fuck it sequel, where the director didn't really have much more they wanted to do, so the studio said, look, we'll give you, basically write you a blank check and you can do whatever you want. We just want a sequel. And he did. And what he made, again, would have been a fine, okay slasher movie, but the fact that it was a Halloween movie just poisoned it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, but for me, because it has the Halloween branding,
Right.
with the exception, and the reason why I'm willing to make the exception for Season of the Witch, despite having the Halloween branding,
Season of the Witch was on purpose.
Season of the Witch was on purpose,
And the original idea.
The original idea, and it didn't have Michael.
Yeah.
When you have Michael Myers in your movie, there is a standard that
Yeah.
you have to meet.
Right.
And for me, Rob Zombie just took a giant crap all over the character, and not just the character of Michael, but the
Loomis.
characters of Laurie and Loomis as well. And for me, those were big things that I could not forgive.
Oh yeah, the fact that these characters are Laurie Strode and Sam Loomis and Michael Myers, yeah, that is unforgivable. I'm not forgiving that at all. If Rob Zombie had made an homage to classic slasher movies and having him never speak and then him saying one word at the end, it would have been fine. But the fact that it's Michael Myers and the fact that it's Dr. Loomis and the fact that it's Laurie Strode, that's where he completely failed audiences. But no, that's the reason it's not my 11, but it isn't good. That's what I mean by I have a complicated relationship with it.
I can see your Facebook status now. Relationship with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2? It's complicated.
Right. Is it good? No. Is it a good Halloween movie? Fuck no. Could it be good if it were entirely removed from Halloween? Who knows? And that who knows part, I'm like, I can't ignore that entirely. But again,
Alright.
I also didn't grow up with Halloween movies. I didn't really get into horror until I was in my mid-teens. So,
Which is around the appropriate time for
Right,
someone
which is
to get
when you
into this
should.
sort of thing.
which is when
Not
you should.
5 or 6 like me.
Right. So again, it's not quite as personal for me. This also wasn't my introduction to horror. If someone did something like that with Evil Dead, I'd probably be furious.
I'm going to want to know your thoughts on the Evil Dead remake when we cover the franchise.
I was going to say, I'd be happy to talk about it.
So that was your number 9?
Yes.
What do you have at number 8?
My 7 and 8 could easily be a tie, but I went ahead and split hairs. My 8
Because we're not pansies. We make choices.
My number 8 is Halloween 5. And we've talked about what, really, really sucks about this one is the fact that the iconic Michael Myers house, I mean...
This Victorian style...
Yeah, this manor. No, the whole point is that it's an average house in an average suburban neighborhood. That's the whole part of it. Could happen to anyone. But... And again, the mask, that's very big criteria for you is how good the mask looks, which is not something a lot of people take into consideration, and that's cool that that's a big deal for you.
It is, because it all harkens back to Loomis's monologue from the very first movie. You know, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I don't want to see his eyes ever.
Yeah.
Unless if you're going to make it have a purpose.
Yeah.
But just through the mask, I don't want to see his eyes, because then he becomes human and he's supposed to be evil personified.
Right.
And if you see his eyes, you kind of like what we talked about.
Yeah.
You humanize him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not supposed to be humanized. So
No.
for me, the Halloween 5 mask is not the worst mask in the franchise. Come at me.
Yeah. But then you had the comic relief cops with the
literal Bozo the Clown sound effects.
Yeah, it was like this Bozo Flintstones kind of just
even the way they talked in their opening scene.
It was
We do our jobs and we love it.
Yeah. It was very it's bad. But
two guys who I wish we could have seen get killed on screen,
right.
and then they're both off-screen deaths.
Right.
The cops even have a line saying that they're lousy cops.
Right. And also, we can't not talk about Tina just being just the worst.
It should have been Rachel.
Yeah, I was saying, and like you said, those little moments with Jamie would have been a lot more meaningful if it had been with Rachel.
Exactly. And it would have meant a lot more if it's Rachel sacrificing herself in the woods.
Yeah.
Because,
there's actually a relationship there. There's a bond there.
Yes, and when you see Jamie crying over Tina...
Yeah.
And I'm not saying she wouldn't, but if it would have been Jamie crying over Rachel and then Loomis approaching her, almost calloused.
Yeah.
Just, now are you willing to help me?
Yeah.
And her reaction of, can you kill him?
Yeah.
It would have been a lot more impactful
It would have been.
if it was Rachel.
It would have been. But again, the movie's not irredeemable. Obviously, Pleasance, having just completely gone off the deep end,
Yes.
is incredibly entertaining. And there are some...
Michael Myers himself being very, very vicious.
Yeah.
And very more aggressive than usual in this movie.
Yeah.
When he hangs the cop
Yeah.
with the rope, I thought that was a really neat kill.
That was a neat kill.
And the way he just burst through that door, it's like, he's been shot enough.
Yeah.
He's done with this bullshit.
Yeah.
He gonna kill this little girl.
Yeah, and then what was the one where it was wasn't there a part where Jamie was in was it a dumbwaiter, or where she was inside
a laundry chute.
the laundry chute? Yeah.
It's a very tense.
It's a very tense scene.
Never should have been shot the way it was shot.
No, especially if you don't know, they actually put Danielle Harris in danger filming that shot. But We already established that the director was a dickbag. And then the whole thing with the car was, I thought, it was like, okay, see, that's something new that works. So again, the movie's not irredeemable. But yeah, it's not good either.
Well, and again, like I talked about in my take of it, the director introducing so many different plots and twists
he was
just
like,
for the sake of having it, only to let whoever's going to do number 6 resolve his problems.
Like this...
Complete bullshit.
Absolutely. Well, my number 7 is Rob Zombie's Halloween. This is another one where...
It's funny that you have those two right after each other, because that's how it was on my list, except I had it at number 9 and number 8 versus 8 and 7.
Right. This is another one where I almost feel similarly about the second one, but I don't think it was nearly as big of a train wreck.
No, not at all.
I feel like
there are a lot of things about this that I admire.
Yeah, again, like if this was Rob Zombie making his own slasher movie that was sort of an homage to slasher movies of the 70s and 80s, this would have been really good. Not fantastic, but it would have been pretty solid.
Solid but not bad.
Exact. Yeah. Exact. That's what I mean. Is like it would be fine. It would be like, yeah, it was good. It was fine. It was okay. But because the acting in it is good, it's well acted.
Even Sherry Moon Zombie does a fairly decent job.
Yeah, I mean that's her thing, is she's not an awful actress. She's just annoying.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not even that she's awful. She's just kind of irritating. I think Jennifer Tilly is similar in that respect.
Nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah. But I mean, William Forsythe just being a complete asshole is so entertaining. I will crawl across this table and skull fuck. Like
it's the first time I ever heard skull fuck.
Oh, really? That was the first time you'd ever heard that one?
I was a freshman in high school when this movie came out. So, I'm just thinking, okay, well, this is definitely the Rob Zombie language.
Yeah, this is. Look
at you. You think you're a badass motherfucking killer psycho.
Yeah.
William Forsythe was a lot of fun.
He was. And again, Malcolm McDowell, like, if there's anyone who could possibly take up the mantle from Donald Pleasance, it's Malcolm McDowell.
I don't mean to knock him, but I still wasn't fully on board with his approach. But it's just... His Loomis feels more agitated and irritated by everyone around him not knowing what Michael really is, versus just the genuine concern that Pleasance brought.
And that strikes me largely, again, as Rob Zombie wanting to do a more vicious take. He even said he wanted to basically do Michael Myers' Portrait of a Serial Killer. As a lot of the stuff that Michael does as a child and all that stuff, this was the stuff that, like, Jeffrey Dahmer did as a kid. Him
killing the bully in the woods was a good scene.
It was a good scene.
Fun fact, that's the boy from Spy Kids.
Daryl Sabera, who is also in one of my favorite comedies, the movie World's Greatest Dad. It's my favorite Robin Williams movie. And he's married to Meghan Trainor.
Damn.
Yeah. Long story short, decent actor as a kid, decent actor as an adult, and he's all about that bass.
No treble.
No treble. I mean, the cameos were great. That's one thing Rob Zombie was always good at, was getting fun cameos.
Danny Trejo going against typecast.
Yeah, going with a very gentle, But the thing is, it's actually kind of him playing himself, because he did go to prison. Danny Trejo, like, was in prison before he was acting, and found the Lord in jail, and you know, is now you know, a very loved, charitable man.
I will say I did feel very sad for his character when he died.
I did too.
And that just goes to show how good of a performer Trejo is.
Yeah. And you know, it did a good job of emphasizing Michael being pure evil. And I do think that was...
Yes, because in Trejo's mind, they have an established bond
Yeah.
and a relationship. Whereas Michael kills him, you know, without a second thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, again, was a very heartbreaking scene. And, you know, I feel like, okay, that's something zombies bringing to the table. That's something new. That's interesting. But the fact that you make Michael a human and a product of his environment...
Yeah, that's the one thing I didn't like is just...
And again, that's...
He's a generic kid who comes from a broken home. That's...
Yeah. And again, that's something that could have worked way better in its own movie.
It's that's the way I feel about it, is that the first half of the movie is its own movie, and then the last 45 minutes is the remake.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not really a remake until we get to that last 45 minutes. But I don't hate Rob Zombie's movies. I know I like them a little more than you do, but I don't think
I don't hate his movies either. Just he should have left Halloween alone.
Agreed. But again, I love Malcolm McDowell. He's one of my favorite actors, honestly. And he's giving a great performance. Like, he is acting the hell out of it. You know, setting aside the direction the character goes in. You know, even in 2, it's not that he's a bad actor. It was just the particular direction they took Loomis in was not a good idea. But he was committing and was giving his all, and he was being Malcolm McDowell. He's a very charming guy, and there's, you know...
Have you seen the bloopers with him and Brad Dourif in the cop car, and he's just cursing up a storm?
No, but that sounds amazing.
Oh my goodness, man. Definitely check it out. It will make you laugh.
I mean, A Clockwork Orange is in my, like, top 50 favorite movies. So I've always loved Malcolm McDowell.
Fun little nugget. I don't know if you know this. The person playing Michael's sister, Judith.
Yeah.
Do you know who she is?
I guess not.
She plays little Jenny in Forrest Gump. Run, Forrest, run.
She plays, like...
Yes.
I feel like I heard that. I feel like I learned that at some point, but I totally forgotten about that.
There's a little fun little nugget
that's very
for you.
And now we've seen her boobies.
And you've ruined it.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is it? You're so dirty. You just go straight to the boobs, Will.
We'll cut this. My number 6 is going to be controversial, and I know it's going to be controversial.
All right.
My number 6 is Halloween 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
It's a hot take. I know it's a hot take.
It's number 4 on my list.
Right.
So number 6.
I've never understood why so many people, you know, really like this one. I feel like it. And again, this was another one Carpenter and Hill didn't want to make. And so basically, what they kind of did was say, all right, well, let's make it competitive with the movies with the movies that are ripping off Halloween. So let's add more gore and tits. It's not even fully bad. I wouldn't call it bad. I
don't think it's bad at all.
I think it's mediocre, personally. But, and there's a moment that it kind of retcons from the first one. That was such a cool moment in the first one. And that's when Loomis looks down and sees Michael not there. In the first one, he kind of has this, I knew this would happen, or I was afraid this would happen. In the second one, it shows that scene again, and he looks genuinely surprised.
It's like he runs downstairs and out the house, and then he sees the body not there,
Yeah.
and then he has that
No, they
wide-eyed
even
reaction to
reshot the part where he looks down and he's like,
No, they didn't.
they didn't? I
No,
could have
no,
sworn they did.
No. It's him literally walking out the front door,
Okay.
and him seeing the body not there, and that's when he leans down and touches the blood. Also, kind of comical that you could kind of see Michael's imprint on the grass.
Yeah, that felt almost like Wile E. Coyote, slamming into a boulder.
Yes.
But I never understood why people love this one.
I think just more of that they look at it. I mean, it is a direct continuation of the first film.
Yeah.
And I think it's people have that correlation that it's hard to sever that tie.
Absolutely.
And I think it's more of people are going to watch Halloween 1 and then right after they're going to watch Halloween 2 versus watching Halloween 2 on its own and its own merits.
Right.
Because if you watch Halloween 2 on its own, and I believe I talked about this in my take of it, is they do repeat a lot of the same stuff from the first film. Like Loomis almost giving the same speech except to a different cop.
Yeah.
And I feel like there were just so many routes that this movie could have gone down to be different.
Yeah.
And it's just almost a rehashing.
Yeah.
And the fact that Michael feels extremely robotic.
Yeah. I also don't like the whole sibling thing.
I mean, Carpenter didn't like it either.
Yeah, I was
he
gonna
chalks
say,
it up to too much whiskey.
Exactly. It was, and again, this was also kind of a fuck it sequel. It just was, the script was the same people, not the director. But
Carpenter had a say in who was going to direct it.
He did, yeah. But it just, I don't know. It felt like I liked it more, the idea of it's the house. I like that connection more than Laurie Strode being his sister. I like it. I like the idea of it being the house. Almost like that's his sanctuary. Like it's, Quasimodo with his, his sanctuary. I like that more. Because again, it's almost like he still kind of has that, the mind of a child. Where it's like, no, this is where I live. This is mine. But yeah, I just didn't really. It just didn't work for me. I don't know. I don't know. I just never understood why.
Well, I think a lot. Maybe I can help you out here.
Sure.
We don't get a whole lot of Laurie Strode in this movie.
That's true. That's also true.
She spends most of her time being, drugged up and in the hospital.
Right.
And we get left with the hospital staff, and they're not. No. You don't really care about any of these folks.
The finale in the hospital is good.
Yes.
I am not, above pointing out stuff that did work for me. I just. And again, this is also one of those things as a writer and a director, or as a writer and, a filmmaker, I often tend to take the creator's side in stuff like this, which is why I typically consider director's cuts to be kind of, no, that's the movie, is the director's cut. And just knowing how passionless it was for Carpenter and Hill, just because it was like, we didn't want to make a Michael Myers series, there's something about that to me that I'm just like, yeah, you can tell, or something like that.
Okay.
But this is another one that, easily could have been a tie had I not split some hairs with my number 5, which is the 4th one.
Really?
Yeah. What kind of gives this one the edge is the ending with Jamie Lloyd.
It's one of the best endings in the franchise,
It
hands
is.
down.
It is, absolutely.
It is quite possibly the second best ending in the franchise compared to the first one.
Yeah, just because that Loomis that he thought he'd won.
Some of the best acting by Donald Pleasance.
He thought he'd finally won.
I mean, he even says Michael's in hell, buried where he belongs.
Exactly.
And according to the writer, Michael was legit dead.
Yeah. And so that was kind of what gave this one the edge for me. But this one also feels like it's adequate. It's fine.
I will say, but also, Loomis was supposed to be dead at the end of Halloween 2.
He was.
And he was supposed to be dead at the end of Halloween 5. It's like, Michael and Loomis, they really are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Because they both were supposed to die so many times.
He's supposed to be dead! Yeah, weird. But, yeah, I don't know. These just feel...
I wish we could have had a more explanation of how Loomis survived.
Yeah.
I mean, they put some makeup on him to explain some burns, but...
Yeah.
He was in a full room that exploded.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit more. He was...
Put him in a wheelchair or something. I don't know.
Not even in a wheelchair, but if you could just give me a throwaway line of when he got hit by the blast, it pushed him over a desk or something, and the desk absorbed most of the blast.
Right.
Give me something.
Yeah.
Instead of just, hey, he's got a slightly scarred up face.
Yeah. But yeah, 2 and 4 are just kind of meh to me. I
think 4 gets a bad rap.
It does.
Just because the mask.
Yeah.
The mask has grown on me. I wasn't a big fan of it, but there's just so many things I love about Halloween 4. I mean, it's my number 3. I'm having a hard time thinking that it's, number 5?
Number 5 for me.
Wow.
But my number 4 is also, I think, kind of fine. And that's H2O.
Why have I not... Keep going. I'll wait for it.
Okay. I was going to say, you're not going to be happy.
I'm already not happy.
I know. I thought Curtis acted it really well. I thought her acting was really good.
She's a big reason why this movie got made.
She is. I love the Janet Leigh cameo.
I did as well.
With the car, with the psycho car.
Perfect.
That was great.
And I love that Janet Leigh's character is almost playing a motherly figure to her by telling her, I don't know what happened or what's going on, but every year this time of year you're not well.
Yeah. And she even mentioned something about my maternal instincts or
that's right, she does.
Yeah.
And she has that nice little Sheriff Brackett line of everyone's entitled to one good scare. I love Jamie's reaction of I've had my share.
Yeah. There was a little bit too much, there was too much Scream influence. I
can feel that.
That's another one that I'm not, above admitting.
Kevin Williamson had a lot to do with this movie, so it does make sense.
Right. But I don't know.
And this was 2 years after Scream came out.
Right. Yeah, this was
1998.
98. Yeah, which is why it's H2O, because it was 20 years after the first one was released, so it was almost real time.
Thank goodness Halloween 2018 wasn't called Halloween H40.
That would have been, or if they just wrote Halloween and made the A a 4 and the first O a 0. Or the first, there's only one O, you know what I meant.
Halloween 40.
Right. At least they didn't make it 4D.
Oh my god.
Just sit there with 3D glasses and a scratch and sniff card. Halloween in smell-o-vision. The pros I gotta give it are it's creative, and
the elevator death scene still holds up.
It was. Part of me felt like it was a little too slick. Like it didn't have that 70s exploitation feel that the first one. The first one did.
Well, the first one was made in the 70s.
I know, but what I mean is it didn't feel gritty.
Okay.
Whereas
how does it not feel gritty? I mean, you see her leg.
Oh no! I'm not talking about the gore. I just mean it felt a little bit
too well polished.
Yeah, okay. A little too polished. That's what I mean by too sleek. It felt a little too polished. It was a little too 90210 or Degrassi, or something like that. But yeah, here's where you're gonna hate me.
I already do, because I
Yeah.
think I know what your top three is.
You do. My number 3 is Halloween 2018.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot my 3.5.
3.5.
Yes.
Okay.
You're also gonna be. I don't think you're gonna hate this, but you're gonna be shocked. 3.5. There's a reason it's a half. The producer's cut
Oh yeah, we've briefly talked about this.
of Halloween 6. The reason why, again, this one to me still boils down to, okay.
Well, and the producer's cut, it's very, very different from the theatrical.
Yeah.
It feels a lot more like the first movie.
Right. The thing with the reason why I do think there's such a big gap and why I do think the producer's cut is way better. Well, for one, I don't hate the Thorn Cult stuff. I don't hate it.
I didn't necessarily hate the Thorn Cult in general.
Yeah.
I just hate that for their finale, Michael is literally standing next to Wynn like a right-hand man.
No, I get that.
That I hated. And, of course, the whole... Michael, you are the father.
Yeah, that was weird.
Oh, why couldn't it have just been the man in black?
That was creepy. But the way they end it, I don't know. I felt the way they end it really did make Michael the ringleader. Because again, spoiler alert, the way it ends is Loomis. All of a sudden, Loomis is suddenly like branded by the Thorn Cult, and Michael is now in the Man in Black's outfit.
Well, Michael knocked out Dr. Wynn and changed wardrobes.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Is so that's how he escaped, basically.
But I don't see Michael as the Man in Black. I believe that was supposed to be interpreted as Loomis is now in charge of Michael.
Yeah, he's now essentially the Man in Black, but also, yet again, Michael got away. Not only did Michael get away, Loomis. It's almost like he can't. It's like it's once again made even more impossible for him to kill him. Like now he's linked to Michael.
Even more so than he already was.
Exactly. Now it's like
I will say
there's a supernatural link.
I liked Loomis walking up to what he believes to be Michael, and you hear him say, "It's over. It's finally over."
Yeah.
And even him talking to Dr. Wynn of, I thought Michael was a monster, but it was you.
Yeah.
Like there are things about the cult element that I did like. I just hated the finale. I hated that finale so much.
It didn't bother me for some reason. I don't know what it was. But it just, again, it felt like the first one. It felt like the first movie since the first one where someone had an idea. It felt like someone cared enough to not make a cash-in sequel. Or here, it felt the least like a cash-in sequel.
No, I see what you're saying. It's just, unfortunately, at this point in time, Halloween was struggling with who owned the rights and all that stuff. So there's no telling what kind of film Halloween 6 would have been if all those issues were already resolved.
And if the focus grouping, didn't, fuck it up. But yeah, that's my 3.5, and that's the reason it's a half and not its own ranking, is because it's like, is this really a
Like I said, I want a version of producer's cut and theatrical spliced together, because then we would have a good cohesive film, and then could judge it on its merits.
Sure.
But your number 3, you said, is Halloween 2018.
It is.
Proceed.
Yeah. We love this movie. Both of us. I was gonna say this is another one where
they got rid of the brother sister twist, which is literally
Yeah.
hampered down this franchise since number 2.
Because it's like they kept having to address that.
And now they don't.
Right. And this was another one where it wasn't even that critics didn't like it. A lot of audiences didn't. It was audiences were very divided. People either loved it or hated it. It wasn't like with Spiral where it was divisive with both critics and audiences.
Critics loved it, fans it split hairs.
Yeah, exactly. And
Which
so,
to me I don't understand. I mean, it's a great movie.
I really like it.
It has its flaws.
Oh, sure.
Mostly named Dr. Sartain. But outside of that, this is the best we've seen of Michael in a long time.
Absolutely. The reason why the Sartain stuff doesn't bother me as much, it's not, it's obviously like a weaker part of it, but it felt like they were telling a joke. And here's what I mean. It felt like almost like when Detective Banks in Spiral wakes up with the hacksaw chained to it and there's a bobby pin lying right there. It's almost like, in that case, it was like the killer was like, no, I'm just kidding. This was just an homage or something like that. This one felt like when Sartain is about to put on the mask and then they kill him, that to me felt like the director going, just kidding.
I mean, he did put on the mask.
Well, that's what I mean, is like when he did that, it felt like the director was going, no, I'm just kidding.
Also,
we wouldn't do that to
Dr.
you.
Sartain, who got shot, how is he somehow able to drag Michael with one arm and pick him up to put him in the back of the police car?
Oh, sure. Again, it's not... Again, there's...
Is the mask supernatural?
Again, there's...
Please don't go down that route.
Oh, please don't.
Unless you tie it in with Silver Shamrock.
I was going to say. But...
Can you just imagine if we get...
If it turns out the Michael mask was a silver shamrock.
Yes, you see the emblem somewhere on the mask, and then you just get a zoom in on Michael's face, and we go inside his head, and all you hear is that damn tune.
And it's all the bugs.
No, not all the bugs.
Oh,
it's
I know.
just
But
happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Could you just imagine if that's what's playing in his head 24/7? No wonder he went psycho.
I would laugh hysterically. I would be so mad, but I would be laughing too hard to even process the fact that I was mad about it.
Somewhere near the end of Halloween Kills, we're going to get a Cochran reveal of him just stroking a black cat, just thinking, good.
Yeah.
Good.
They'd have to recast him, but
Obviously.
which is impossible. But honestly, that's when I could totally see Malcolm McDowell playing. I could totally see Malcolm McDowell being a new Connell Cochran. Or David Warner would be amazing, if you know who that is.
No, I do not. But discussion for another
You've seen
time.
him in something, I'm sure. But it's but yeah, it has some bullshit, but it's, to me, all thoroughly outweighed by the stuff that's good. One complaint that I saw where I'm like, hold up, was people tried to say, oh, now Laurie's supposed to be all empowered because we have to have an empowered, woman. No, she's not empowered. It's a different type. She's just different. She is a reclusive agoraphobe with severe PTSD. She just knows how to use a shotgun now. She's not this empowered. They didn't pull a Sarah Connor with her. It's not like all of a sudden she's a badass. She kind of is, but at the same time, it's not that there's nothing about her that is like... It's not like she doesn't have severe weakness. And that, to me, as one who has a friend who dealt with agoraphobia and largely related to PTSD, no, that's not a superpower. That's not something that's badass.
For me, I don't get that complaint. It's, at this point, the franchise is about Michael versus Laurie.
It is.
So you should know what you're going into when you see this.
Right. I just know that's one complaint.
And are we really going to sit there and see an elderly Laurie Strode be the Scream Queen?
Right.
And, running and hiding and frightened.
Yeah. There's the line that again to me was like the filmmakers acknowledging, yeah, we know, where she meets Sartain and she goes, oh, so you're the new Loomis.
And I love that Sartain just turns into a fanboy over her.
I love that. But
Laurie Strode.
But it's like that. Not only is that funny because that's what they're setting it up to be, but when he dies, that's when you realize Laurie is the new Loomis. Laurie is the Loomis of these.
It's an interesting take.
Or if anyone took up the mantle from him, it's her, not Sartain. They were setting it up. It looked like they were setting it up to be Sartain, and then they.
Well, she is. Even when she's telling the journalist, "You don't believe in the boogeyman, you should."
Yeah, exactly. A lot of what she says and does is reminiscent of Loomis, or being like, no, I need to be the one to kill him. Like, this is my purpose in life, is to kill him. And again, Curtis acts the hell out of it.
And the thing is that it's not just her who pulls her weight and does a good job.
Yeah.
I love Will Patton's performance in this movie.
The new the granddaughter, I think, is really good, or at least she is shaping up to be really good. Andy Matichak.
We'll have to look up the correct pronunciation.
Is I think does a good job, or at least they're.
Judy Greer feels a little off in this movie.
She did feel a little off,
but I'm hoping she really shines in Halloween Kills, because she's shown a lot at near the end of the movie when she, takes control essentially of her fear and shoots Michael.
Because I think she was going for more subtle, and it came off as flat in a lot of places, because she's mostly known for doing comedy. But it looks like they're letting her be a little bit more aggressive, maybe, in this one. But
it looks
in this
good,
new one that's come out,
I want to see her be a full on badass.
I do too, and I did think that Toby Huss was funny in it, the dad. I did think he was funny.
Oh man, I got peanut butter on my penis.
And if you didn't know, he's the voice of Cotton Hill. He's the voice of Cotton Hill and Khan.
Oh, I did not know that.
He was the voice of Khan and Cotton Hill.
How did Michael kill him? Because he killed Fitty Man.
I was about to say, he killed Fitty Man.
I can see Michael going for the strangulation. He just turns around. I kill Fitty Man.
Hank's wife. We love King of the Hill too, by the way.
Can you just imagine it? In his case, it would be Karen. Karen's mom.
Yeah, Karen's mom. That would be really funny.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, Toby Huss. Yeah. And here's where we get to the thing that is going to make so many Halloween fans hate me. My number 2, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
At least it could be worse. You could have that as your number 1.
I know.
Stop it!
Scared me there.
I saw you jump.
Let me explain. This is another one where I go back to, siding with the director, or siding with John Carpenter.
Okay.
He didn't even want to make a second Michael Myers movie. He wanted it to be an anthology series from the start. And I wish that the series had stayed in that direction. Not because now again, they got it back on track easily easily. They got it back on track with Halloween 2018. But Season of the Witch, if the Halloween series were what it was supposed to be all along, the Halloween name wouldn't matter. Yeah. The fact that it wouldn't be misleading, because it wasn't supposed to be, and they didn't advertise it as if it was going to be a third one, or as if it was going to be the third
Michael Myers,
the third chapter. And They even said, it was even called Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. this night no one comes home.
Oh, that's right. I remember that tagline.
So they were very clearly saying this is not a Michael Myers movie. So people didn't really have an excuse to go in and be upset that Michael wasn't in it, unless they just wanted him. Other than if they already knew that, like if they already knew that and were mad about that, that's one thing. But the fact that anyone went in and was upset they got a totally different movie, like no, they made it very clear. I think that the way they incorporated Halloween into it was really cool. Because that was, again, what was cool about the first one is they made it, they really, intertwined the holiday and the essence of the holiday with the story. With that sort of spirit of...
Thank goodness they didn't go with the original title.
What was the original title again?
Of Halloween?
It wasn't like The Babysitter
The
Murders?
Babysitter Murders.
Yeah.
Which gets a shout out in 2018 by Will Patton's character.
I forgot about that.
Yes, when he's talking to the sheriff about Michael's escape. He says Michael Myers 40 years ago, Babysitter Murders.
I forgot all about that.
Nice shout out.
That's clever. I love when filmmakers do that. But in that case, it was more about, that sort of, suburban anxiety of, mischief. Because trick-or-treating wasn't invented until like the 40s or 50s or something like that. Before that, it was a night when kids went around in costumes and caused mischief. So trick-or-treating was sort of like, almost like them, they were satiating the gods with an offering or something like that. Now, obviously, they didn't believe that's what was going on, but it was the idea of, that's why it was trick or treat. It was like, this is your payment. We're paying you not to do this. So that sort of early suburban... Yeah.
Okay.
That sort of, early suburban fear was sort of what Michael was kind of about. And plus, it was also... you had the exploitation factor of, he's, killing people, it's a guy going around killing people, and, there's a little bit of nudity, there's blood, it was, but you also had, that great sort of sense of suspense and mythos of, the boogeyman, this is the boogeyman, whereas in 3, it was more about the mythology of the holiday. The supposedly sinister origins and stuff like that of it, with like this ancient druidic cult. It was, and again, it was much more fantastical.
They took a piece from Stonehenge, I believe.
It was, they did, and again,
this
it's like...
This movie is so out there and crazy.
It is, but it's not... But it's upfront about it. It's not like they're trying to be super grounded with it. This one, they really are doing more of this is a fun supernatural horror movie. It was ballsy, because they kill children in it in a pretty nasty way. It's not even... Like, it's bloodless, but it's...
It's ironically one of the... You could argue it's the most iconic kill in the franchise, and it doesn't even involve Michael.
No, it's...
that kid grabbing at that mask, trying to rip it off. You can just imagine what it is...
The decay.
Imagine what it's doing to him before you see the results.
Yeah, there's just, like, that there's this, rapid decay going on. And the ambiguous ending. Because the first one was supposed to have an ambiguous ending. I know a lot of people feel like it doesn't belong in the series, but I don't know. Again, it's one of those where I tend to like to side with the artist, and that's just a me thing. And knowing that this is what John Carpenter and Deborah Hill wanted it to be boosts it up for me a little bit, but I also just think it's such an interesting and unique idea of the masks sort of being cursed.
The weapon.
Yeah.
Curse of Michael Myers.
Right.
Yes, the mask basically being the weapon to
Yeah.
no telling how many kids' deaths.
Yeah.
But and I'll give it its merit. It's good on its own.
Yeah.
Kind of like how you feel about the Rob Zombie films.
Sure.
Take the Halloween branding off of it, and it can stand well enough on its own.
Sure.
Which is why I had it at number 7. I
Right.
did enjoy it, but
Yeah.
overall, it's not what the franchise is about and what the franchise
Sure.
is, what it is.
Sure.
But I can't sit there and say it's the worst.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people write it off as it's the worst because there's no Michael, and I was that way for a while.
Sure.
But
It
you
grows
know,
on you.
It does.
And it
Just like that tune.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrocks.
But yeah, that's why it's my runner up. I think it's the best Halloween sequel. I think it
If you would have put it at number 1, I may have thrown a knife at you.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair because
Because you had me worried for a second.
Oh no! I wouldn't do that to you. Even series and director loyalty, all that aside, the original 1978 Halloween is a better movie. It's a better movie overall, and of course it's my number 1, because it's one of the greatest horror films ever made, and it's your favorite horror movie.
Yes, it is.
And
I can still remember the feeling of being scared hearing the theme music.
yeah,
And running out of my dad's room.
yeah,
Because he was playing it on VHS in his room, and he was like, "Son, come watch this with me." And I couldn't make it past the opening credits.
because the theme song is
It
so
got me.
creepy.
And then I would try. I remember running out, and then I tried to go back in,
Yeah,
and just, I think it was Lori spotting him behind the behind the bushes, and it creeped me out.
yeah.
But again, I was a very young kid when I saw all that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the suspense is built up expertly. The cinematography is really clever.
It's the filmmakers say it's like Michael Myers is taking a prank a little too far.
Yeah, in a way it almost is like that. And of course there's, as in pretty much any, in most horror movies, there's a little bit of bullshit every now and then, like the fact that, a carving knife was able to fasten a man to a door all the way through his chest, but who cares? As it's a great movie, it's very effective, and it's simple. It's so simple, and it works perfectly.
That's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, is with horror films in general, is that they put too much into it, where if you keep it simple,
Yeah,
you'll get what you're looking for.
sure. As if you're gonna do complicated mythology, you got to be real good at it,
Yes.
and that's why, and that's honestly why I think the producer's cut of Halloween 6 works, is because the mythology is well thought out. Whether or not it belongs with Michael Myers, it's well thought out. But so you got to either keep it simple or or you got to be great.
I remember
at creating.
I remember
lore.
as a kid, after watching Halloween 6, I went outside, and we had like this weird little sand pit. I was at my grandmother's apartment or wherever it was she was living at the time, and I actually drew the thorn symbol in the sand, and I quickly got rid of it because I was like, I don't want that.
Wait. What if it's real?
Yeah, exactly. What if?
Yeah, but what else can we say about it? I mean, there's not much you can say. It's it's one of the greatest.
And the fact that they just bought a Captain Kirk mask for $15 and turned it into the most iconic look in slasher history.
Yeah.
Period. Jason and Freddy don't come close.
Yeah, just
As you'll see in definitely see in my Jason reviews.
oh yeah, mine too. I don't think there's a full 5 out of 5 or 10 out of 10 Friday the 13th movie, in my opinion.
I'm still currently reviewing.
Sure.
So I can't 100% be on board with that. But where I'm at, yeah.
Yeah, my favorite one is still like a 4.5 out of 5. But like with Halloween and Texas Chainsaw, both of those have, you know, the first entries in both of those 5 out of 5 stars. Like, just they're slasher masterpieces.
Put Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, 5 out of 5.
I would. That first one I would. That first one's another one that I just adore. But I'll get to that later. That'll be a little later on down the line. But yeah, I mean, John Carpenter's Halloween. What else can you say? It's everything about this movie is iconic.
The Godfather of slashers.
I mean,
Michael Corleone.
Yeah. But yeah, just like
John Carpenter went up to Mustafa Akkad and said, "I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse." All right, I'm done with the Godfather references. I promise.
Or you could make one more and think,
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me right back in.
I'm pretty sure that's how Jamie Lee Curtis feels as Laurie
pretty
Strode.
much. But yeah, there's nothing more that can be said other than it's a masterpiece.
Agreed, and for me, it will always stand the test of time. I always look forward.
I agree.
I'm looking forward to Halloween Kills. I'm looking forward to Halloween Ends, and I don't know where the franchise goes after that, but it's nice to be a Halloween fan right now.
Right. I guess that's it, honestly.
Yeah. Do you want to recap? So, from your number 11 to your number 1?
Yeah. So yeah, my number 11, Halloween Resurrection. Number 10, Halloween 6. Number 9, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Number 8, Halloween 5. Number 7, Rob Zombie's Halloween. Number 6, Halloween 2. Number 5, Halloween 4. Number 4, H2O. Number 3, Halloween 2018. Number 2, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And number 1, John Carpenter's Halloween. So that's it. That's the Halloween franchise, ladies and gentlemen. One of the greats. One of the greats. John Carpenter, one of the greatest horror directors.
For me, he's definitely on the Mount Rushmore.
Oh, absolutely.
Him, Wes Craven. I'm not sure about the other two, but
Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi.
I'd put Sam Raimi on there. George Romero.
Yeah, you have to have George Romero.
Creepshow shirt right now. Yeah.
George Romero, Sam Raimi.
Yeah, John Carpenter
and Wes Craven.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's Halloween. And until next time, I'm Will Lastly.
I'm Alex Maynard.
And until next time,
We'll be right back.